Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us this afternoon on what's truly an historic day. I mean, think about for a minute, this is a very rare occasion. We have had one coaching change in the sport of football in the last 49 years. It's hard to get your head around, but Bill Bowes to Sean McDonnell, 49 years later, 332 wins later, it's quite a phenomenal legacy that those two gentlemen have left us. And most of all, they've established a program of national renown that's most importantly, and this is what Rick embraces, is it's played the right way. We play the game the right way with class and integrity, physical toughness. I remember when I was at Colgate a long time ago, and Bill Bowes brought teams down to face another great coach in Fred Dunlap, and sitting in with the football coaches, they knew they were in for a hell of a game on that Saturday. That win or lose, they were going to be bruised. And through all of Sean McDonnell's years, we've played that way, embraced the physicality of the game, but do it with great sportsmanship. Always well prepared, always well coached teams, very thoughtful teams. You know, again, Rick embodies so much of what UNH football is with the Chip Kelly era here. I've always said, and I don't say this derisively, I say this respectfully, that Rick was kind of Chip Kelly's guinea pig and really got that offense off and running, and the numbers speak for themselves. But most of all, we're known for our blue-collar approach and a really an honest way to play the sport. And nothing embodies that more to us than for those of you that have been outside the football locker room, there's a large granite rock that is the shape of the state of New Hampshire with a very simple inscription on it: do your job. It's so simple but so elegant because that's what we stand for. Why am I saying all this? I say this because this takes a very unique individual to carry on this legacy that's been imparted on this program from Coach Bowes to Sean McDonnell. And Rick Santos is that guy, singularly that person that's going to carry on that legacy. He's exhibited it as a player. It's not just about the numbers. I have had the sincere privilege of being alongside Rick all 4 years of his time here at UNH. And I remember many stories, and I won't get into them now. I've shared them with some of you, that his leadership was second to none as a player at UNH. You know, and as an alum, he is always supportive. When he had left school and we weren't in contact when he was playing professional football, Rick was always right there alongside of us. As an assistant and an associate coach, not only here for 2 terms, but also at Columbia, he's proven his value. He was influential in getting Columbia back on track, and he's proven himself many times over in that regard. But most of all, during the interim year where he served as head coach, no one was thrown into a more tenuous situation than he was. We had just brought him back that spring from Columbia with the intent of him taking over for Coach Mack at some point. And literally, 5 months later, we had the awful news of Coach Mack's illness, and Rick was thrown into that situation. I remember sitting down with Rick and talking about it, and there were tears. There were plenty of tears in the field house during those moments. And, you know, and I'm here to say proudly, but mostly I was so impressed with his courage, his commitment, and his desire not to let Coach Mack and this program down. And that was a hell of a year. 6-5, folks. Those of you saw that season, we were literally 2 plays away from being in the FCS playoffs. So that was a great year. You know, as I said, Rick is singularly the person for this job. I'm just, as the athletic director, really happy and pleased that he will be taking over the reins of this program. He's going to be a great ambassador. He's going to be an excellent role model and a mentor. He and I have talked about it. That is so important. That's intrinsic to who he is. He's going to instill but carry on the deep commitment that Bill Bowes and Sean McDonnell started and demanded of their athletes. He's going to recruit really high caliber young men that can play the game. That's already been proven what happened last weekend with our first recruiting weekend with Rick at the helm. And he will win. He's been a proven winner his whole life. I have no doubt in my mind he's going to be very successful at UNH and beyond. And without further ado, I want to introduce our 20th head coach in the sport of football at UNH, Rick Santos. Congratulations, Rick.
Thank you for that, Marty. Welcome, everybody. First of all, to the media members and colleagues in attendance, thank you so much for taking this opportunity to be here and sharing this special moment. To Marty Scarano, President Dean, and the entire UNH administration, thank you. And I'm so humbled for this opportunity. And Marty in particular, Mr. Scarano, you know, everything you've done in the last 20 years and the vision you've had for this program has come to fruition. You've led us to national prominence. You had a vision for what this stadium and our facility should look like, and we accomplished great heights there. And the alumni engagement and how you keep everybody involved is remarkable. And it's been an honor to work with you as a student athlete, as an assistant and associate head coach here, and now fortunate enough to be named the 20th head coach of this great, prestigious program. Thank you. I'm forever indebted to you. To my family, my parents in particular, to mom and dad, thank you for everything you've done over the years. Tremendous amount of support and love unconditionally. I've always felt that, and I wouldn't be here and have this opportunity if you didn't give me that support. To my wife, Juliana, thank you. Being a coach's wife is tremendously hard, especially these days. And, you know, what we have to do recruiting, you know, the grind of being in season and then right to recruiting. There's a lot of time you're at home and you're taking care of our two lovely kids constantly. So thank you so much for everything you do. And I couldn't have done it without you. I also want to take this opportunity to thank some of the other coaches and mentors in my life. And, you know, I got into this great profession because of the leaders, mentors, and role models that helped shape me. And this is a great opportunity for me to thank them and give back a little bit to Richard Blue, who was my middle school basketball coach. And he really shaped my competitive edge. He taught me how to compete at an early age, and really whatever endeavor you're doing, whether that's basketball at a young age, whether that's playing rock, paper, scissors, whether that's competing for a national championship at UNH, which we're going to do and we're going to win. You compete with the expectations to win. And I think the fun really becomes in the winning and the process involved in doing that. And I thank him unconditionally. To the late, great Barry Hutchison, who unfortunately passed away when I was in college. He was my high school basketball coach, and he taught me humility. And basically, you know, if you're going to build a championship culture, it has to be developed through selfless leaders. And I can't thank him enough for everything. And I know he's looking down on me and extremely proud. To Dale Caparasso, my high school football coach, he instilled a toughness and helped develop that chip on my shoulder that I still carry with me every single day. He also taught me to be thankful for all the critics because they're the ones that give you motivation to become better. And without them, you know, there's nothing to strive for and people to prove wrong. And I look forward to all the doubters out there that think UNH has been down. We're coming back. We're going to be better than ever. So thank you for that. To Chip Kelly, who was just so instrumental during my playing career and has been even more, you know, he's been a mentor for me throughout my early days in coaching. You know, he instilled a standard in me and a perspective that to play and coach the quarterback position, you have to hold yourself to a higher standard. And there's no greater time for me to lead this program as the head coach to understand that if I want our student athletes to live up to the core values and standards and the expectations that I will set forth, I have to embody that and I have to live that on a daily basis. So for him, I can't thank him enough for everything. To Mark Tressman, who was the head coach of the Montreal Alouettes, and we were fortunate enough to win 2 Grey Cup championships together. Tremendous leader. He was somebody who saw, you know, the little minutia of the game, the great details. I think his attention to detail and how he saw some of the smallest things and how he could use that to a competitive advantage was remarkable. And I owe a great debt to him of how he taught me the game and understanding how to read defenses. And I learned a tremendous amount from him. And he's just a great leader and mentor for me. And to Coach Mack, you know, it's hard to put into words what this man has done for me as a player, as a coach. He's given me an opportunity. He was the only one that believed in me out of high school to offer me a scholarship and allow me to get a free education at such a great institution like New Hampshire. He convinced me to get into the coaching ranks when I was a little bit lost when I got done playing, what was going to be my next endeavor, what I was going to do to be successful in life. And he told me, take a chance, come back with me, come coach receivers. And I think you'd be elite at this. And I can't thank him enough because it was the best decision I ever made. And, you know, football is more than a game to Sean McDonald. It's a platform that teaches life skills. And his players, including myself, we carry that with us. he's teaching us leadership, discipline, hard work. I think the most important thing he's taught us is we've been hardened and shaped through adversity. It's not about the good times you have. It's when you go through tough times, that allows you to become better and a better person for it. And I can't thank him enough for everything. Coach, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for your leadership and guidance. And I'm going to continue to lead on you, as we forge this program forward. Next thing I want to touch upon is I think the foundation of any great program or organization is the people. I really believe that. And when you look at what makes our team and university special, it's everybody involved, from the administration, the coaches, the players, the training staff, strength staff, equipment staff, our faculty and teachers, and really the entire Durham community. I think everybody shares in the same vision and making sure that we develop our student athletes and help them, reach their full potential. That's why this job is so unique and special and was so enticing for me because I lived that. I experienced that firsthand as a student athlete, as an assistant coach. And I understand that, athletics is critically important to the Durham community. And I can't thank everybody enough for everything they've done for me. Part of my philosophy as a coach and our philosophy that our entire coaching staff is going to take is we need to take a holistic approach to developing our student athletes. And what I mean is we want to make sure, right, that we develop our guys athletically, academically, and socially. And we want to make sure they have a well-rounded collegiate experience. And with that, I think the most important thing is for them to have a fulfilling educational experience. The number one goal of our program has always been, in Coach Mack's tenure, to be a graduate. And you look at some of the APR numbers and the GSR numbers that just came out, we've graduated 95% of our players in Coach Mack's 20-year tenure. That's remarkable. We have over 100 student athletes here. And it's even tougher in today's landscape with the transfer portal. So for our guys and our student athletes to have a great experience here, and for us as coaches to see them through for 4 years and make sure they graduate, that's critically important for us and for my philosophy. And I'm going to continue to carry on that. And it's going to be something that I believe in, and we're going to make sure that our guys succeed academically. And I think, for us too, we need to be defined by a vision of the future instead of memory of the past. And, the hard truth is the great players like Dave Ball, RJ Harris, Jerry Zuma, Matt Evans, some of these legendary players that we mentioned to start this, they're not coming back. Coach Bowes and Coach McDonald aren't going to be here. We need to, myself, right, I need to lead and forge this program ahead with new ideas, new perspective, without compromising the foundation that Coach Mack built. And that foundation has been built on 3 battles that we have fought hard and we've won over the years. And the first one that we've always talked about and we're going to continue to preach with our student athletes is to win the battle of the mind, right? And what that means is we're going to recruit smart football players. We're going to recruit players that do well in the classroom and that also understand the schematics of football. We are going to teach situational football. We are going to harp that. We're going to make sure that if we lose a game on Saturday, it's not because we beat ourselves. It's because someone else flat out outplayed us. And those are things that we've always talked about. We're going to continue to talk about. The next battle we have to win is win the battle of the battle of the body. And I think Marty really talked about that when we talked about toughness. This for me is football is a physical game. We have to embrace that. We've always been a gritty organization. And when teams get done playing us on Saturday, they always are like, what the heck just hit us? Well, I want to continue to be that way. I want our guys that are going to play to the echo of the whistle. They're going to play with integrity, but they have a chip on their shoulder. There's a nastiness about us. We're going to be tough. We're going to be physical. We're going to win the game up front, right? And games are won in the trenches. We're going to develop and recruit, right, some really good guys in the offense and defensive line, and that's important to us. And then last battle is win the battle of the heart. Football is an emotional game. We're going to recruit student athletes and develop our guys currently in our program and make sure they understand. We want them to play with passion. We want them to have a vision for what our program is and live that on a daily basis. That's critically important to me. I want to make sure that there's a passion, there's an energy on how we do everything, and we're going to forge that forward. So those 3 battles are not going to change. We're going to continue to do that and lead that into the future. This leads me to my next point and kind of the vision I have for myself and this program. And I want to talk to you guys about my leadership philosophy and what I think, can allow us to be successful. And the first thing, what I like to say is all you have to do is dream big, right? And dreaming big is about 3 core values, 3 core ethos that we're going to live by, that I myself as a leader of this football program, okay, are going to embody every single day. And the first one is belief, right? And for me, that's a belief and a confidence, okay, that the best is yet to come. Okay, that every single day we're working towards something great. And there's an unwavering faith in myself and our coaches and our program and everybody involved in UNH football that we are going to accomplish our goals, right? And our goals haven't changed and they're not going to change, right? We're going to go back to being nationally relevant. We're going to be a top 25 organization. We're going to compete and we're going to win CAA championships. Okay. We're going to go back to the playoffs and we will win a national championship. Those are things that I believe are going to happen. Our team believes it. Our coaching staff believes in it. And with that belief, I think there's a trust system in place, right, that for us and our coaching staff have to establish and continue to establish to make sure that our players are buying in to what we're preaching. And I think that trust system goes, our guys need to understand that how much we care about them. And we need to show them, right, that we care about them as men, right, but more so than players. And if before we want them to make plays on the football field and on the gridiron, right, we need to make sure that we're loving our guys up and let them know, right, that they're part of our family. So the belief aspect, right, all you got to do is dream big. You got to believe, right? We believe, and we're going to make sure that we get buy-in from our players. The next part that's critically important in dreaming big is influence, right? We are our brother's keeper. It's our job to support one another in this program. It's my job as being tasked as the head coach, right, to make sure that we are building and continuing to build on the family type atmosphere that Coach Mack has worked so hard to cultivate. That's not going to change. It doesn't matter where you come from, your socioeconomic background, what you believe, right? How we got you to this program. When you're in the confines of our locker room, you are a part of our Wildcat family. We always talk about, controlling your sphere of influence, right? So when you come in contact with someone on a daily basis, it's your job, right, to be positive, to be uplifting, to make that person feel better about themselves. We're going to talk about that constantly, right? And then another huge part of influence for us is controlling what you can control. Right? Don't worry about the outside factors. Focus in on the day-to-day tasks that can allow us to be great. So for our student athletes, it's going to class, right? It's showing up to meetings on time. It's sitting in the front row. It's going to office hours. It's doing the extra and getting tutors. It's doing the extra stuff in the weight room and making sure that we're getting bigger, stronger, faster. It's getting into your tip sheets and your playbooks. What can we control that's going to allow us to become great? And just focus on that. Don't focus on anything externally, and we're going to be able to achieve all of our goals. And the last part about dreaming big for me is developing a growth mindset. And simply put, we want to aim to become better every single day. That 1% rule, if we can be 1% better than the day before, we're accomplishing something, right? We need to understand that we want to be better today than yesterday and better tomorrow than we were today. And we need to understand that to develop a growth mindset, right, you're shaped through adversity. So the setbacks that we've had, right, through our careers and going forward, that's okay. It's okay to fail as long as you're failing forward, right? We need to understand that that's just a stepping stone to achieve all of our goals and to get to the point where we want to be. So those are some of the things that I truly believe in. I think that define my leadership philosophy and that I vow to live by on a daily basis. And I'm super excited for this opportunity. And lastly, and I think what's critically important is we've always had this, and we need to continue to have the support from the alumni, the students, everybody involved in the Durham community. We need your help more than ever. We need your buy-in to the alumni, to all my former teammates, and some of the players I've been fortunate enough to coach over the year, in my first couple tenures here. We need you. We need you to come here to support us, to come to the games, to continue to give back, to believe in this new era of UNH football, because this is who we are. We are you and you are us, and we are in this thing together. To the students, I vow as the head coach to make sure that our student athletes are visible. We're out in the community. We give you the opportunity to see who our guys are behind the masks. And I hope you will vow to us to come to the games, to cheer us on. And I think, what you've done and the support you've had over the years is remarkable, and we need that continued support. So please come to the games and support our young men. And to the entire Durham community, thank you for everything you've done for me over the years, and continue to give back and help our students achieve new heights and become great. With that's my opening remarks, and I'd like to open up some questions.
Go ahead. Feel free to jump in with questions, guys.
Sure, Rick, congratulations. Look forward to working with you down the road. I know this is a really important time, right, in terms of recruiting. So I wonder, what has been your approach here over these last couple of weeks here to reach out and make sure that this first official class is what you want?
Yeah, I got to give credit to our assistant coaches, have done a phenomenal job cultivating some relationships, and really the recruiting for us, we've started recruiting the 22 class about over a year ago. So we've worked hard. We've been in and out, the last 10 days to get back on the road, do home visits, get into the school. For us, we need to make sure that we do a great job investigating the young men beyond how good of a player they are. So I think, for us, making sure they're the right fit and that they're great ambassadors for what we expect in our players. The first recruiting weekend was a huge success. We had 7 student athletes up. We were able to yield 4 commitments. There's another couple players that are really close to saying yes, and we feel great about it. We also have we got a quarterback commit a couple months ago, who took an in-season official visit, who we think is a dynamic player. And he's a great young man, and he's going to be somebody who the fans are going to be really excited about.
Rick, your time as interim head coach, how helpful will that be moving forward? And could you share maybe an anecdote or a story or anything you learned as interim, maybe something, not a mistake necessarily, but something you might do different since you've already gone through that process? Yeah,
well, I think for me, the biggest thing that I was able to achieve there with that kind of on-the-job training and kind of being thrust into it was the little day-to-day detail that you don't understand. And for me, I think the biggest thing is your roster management and how you cultivate those relationships, not just with your position group, but everybody involved. It's, how you're going to manage scholarship allocation, how you're going to shuffle around the roster to make sure that we're recruiting the right guys. So I think that part of it was huge for me to kind of pull behind the curtains and see what it takes to be successful. And the biggest thing that I learned, I think, is that, you have to trust in your support staff and your assistant coaches, and you have to make sure that you do a great job delegating tasks. And I think that's one thing that Coach McDonald has done a phenomenal job over the years, is bringing in really elite coaches that he's leaned on. And, because I think, we're developing over 100 young men, and it's tough. And this is a very tough profession. So you have to have people that you can confide in, that you can believe in. And so for me, it's just kind of, having that support staff. And I think we have some really good assistant coaches in place, and we'll continue to in the future.
Hey, Rick, first of all, congratulations on the gig.
Thanks,
it's you're following a legend who followed a legend, so obviously there's big shoes you're following in on. How do you put your personal stamp on this program?
Sure. I mean, and the way I look at it, it's a privilege to have this opportunity to, we're not going to shy away from it. I understand how immense shoes that I'm filling and how great Coach Mack was, and obviously Coach Bose before him, and all the games we won over the years. And for me, putting my stamp on it, I just think I'm going to be myself. I'm going to work to be a player's coach. I'm going to work to be somebody who, our guys can trust and believe in, somebody who, who always has an open door policy. And I hope that I've already cultivated those relationships where our young men feel comfortable coming in and kind of talk to me about their concerns and help set their goals and help them accomplish everything they want. So, for me, I'm super excited for this opportunity. It's going to be a great ride, and I think we're ready to go.
Rick, can you go back to a comment you made about, weren't sure what you want to do. I don't know if you said how you termed it exactly when you were done playing, but weren't sure what you wanted to do, and Coach Mack helped you do that. Had you thought much about coaching, or what kind of went into that decision?
Yeah, so I was, I got my bachelor's in kinesiology and sports management concentration. And, I wanted to be a high school athletic director, and I wanted to teach. And I was thinking about coaching at the high school level, so I was back in Bellingham and teaching and kind of going through that. And I enjoyed it. I really did. But when Coach brought me up and kind of sat me down and just said, listen, I want you to take this opportunity, and I think you'd be really good at it. So I took a leap of faith, and I came back with him, and I ran with it, and it was the best decision I ever made in my entire life. So, yeah, I think I would have been fulfilled doing that and coaching at the high school level and just kind of giving back there and developing those young men and women as well. But I think for me, this is a calling, and I think, Coach, opened up my eyes to what this profession could do for me professionally. And I've run with that and obviously had success. And, I'm tasked with this great opportunity right now.
And you could also talk about it. I think you touched on it. I know Coach Mack did when he was leaving, that he's always wanted players to kind of play with a chip on their shoulder. And you kind of seem like you fit that mold. And, am I correct? I mean, you didn't have a lot of scholarship opportunities coming out of high school. Is that correct?
That's correct, Alan. UNH was the only scholarship, and actually they had offered me about a week before signing day. There were 6 or 7 guys that had turned them down, and so that was for me. I felt like this was going to be my only opportunity, and almost UNH was kind of stuck with me. And I think it was one of those things that I came in, and every opportunity I had as a player to go against one of those coaches who didn't recruit me, I looked at it as an opportunity to prove them wrong. And I think our current student athletes go through that as well. We don't necessarily, we might lose some kids to some bigger name schools in this conference, but that's okay because we recruit the right type of person that believes in our culture, and our guys usually end up on the right side of the wins and losses because I think they come in here with that same chip as well.
Is there a particular challenge, to get things turned around? I mean, after a year or two that haven't been quite what you wanted?
I don't look at it as a challenge. I'm an internal optimist. I look at it as an opportunity, and it's an opportunity for us to become great again. And the great thing is there's such a good foundation here that has been laid upon by Coach Mack, and there's not too many things that we need to tweak in terms of our off-season protocols and what we want to do. And our strengths coach Paul Chapman has been tremendous over the last 20 years, and he's in place. So I think there's a really good system in place for how we're going to develop our guys. And I just think we got to get back to, playing a little bit cleaner offensively. And that starts with me. And I got to make sure that I'm doing a great job developing our quarterbacks, and we got to play better than we did this year. And, but I think the part of it is, I think it's an opportunity, not a challenge. And we're going to take full advantage of it.
Great.
Have you spoken to any of the other coaches in the conference? Anybody reached out or nationally? Anybody reached out since the press release came out?
Yeah, Coach Charlton, who obviously he just left to be the offensive coordinator at UConn, he reached out. Coach Ambrose at Towson reached out, and Coach Trisciani sent me a nice long message, nice text. And actually, Coach Trish recruited me here to UNH. And I'm forever indebted to him as well, because he was one of those, great mentors for me, where he just always he kept me alive and kept, vouching for me and wanted me to be a part of this program. Was always open and honest throughout the recruiting process. And for me, I still take that with that when I'm recruiting, high school people. I'm going to make sure that they understand where they stand in our program. And he always, let me know. He called me on a weekly basis, and allowed me to get this opportunity here as a player, and then ultimately kind of shaped me who I am today. So yeah, there was 3 or 4 really influential coaches that reached out, and I was very appreciative.
Rick, back to when Sean talked you into coaching. Do you recall anything about that conversation? What he said to persuade you?
Well, I remember where we were. I came up to a basketball game, and his son, Tom McDonald, was playing. I believe that was his senior year there. And, we were just kind of watching the game. And I think he basically just, asked me if I felt, that I was, doing everything and accomplish everything that I wanted. And it was one of those things that I always identified myself as an athlete, and I wanted to play professionally. And that was my main goal. And I was able to do that, but not play as long as I wanted. And I kind of felt like my career ended up being a failure, if you can believe it. So that year for me was one of, a little uncertainty and trying to figure out what that next direction of my life. And he just, he looked at me and kind of saw that I was off a little bit. And he felt like that if I got into this profession and I came with him and he was able to mentor me and show me the way a little bit, that I would feel a little more fulfilled in doing that. So that was kind of just a good experience for me and for him to understand that, I needed this just as much as he needed me to coach. And it was the best decision that I've ever made.